Thank you very much. And start to say I'm probably a little bit of an odd bird here compared to the other speakers coming from the financial sector. But it has been really fascinating to hear and listen to the previous presentations about all these fantastic technologies. It's really inspiring. But I would like to give a perspective from the financial sector and see how we can support, and especially we, Nasdaq, as an exchange operator, how we can support the society towards a decarbonization. So first of all, just to very briefly say a few words on Nasdaq. We are a global exchange operator, but also a software developer within different types of technologies, very much infrastructure, financial infrastructure technologies, but also other types of technologies to support the corporates and the investors. We have we operate the exchanges in the Nordics and the Baltics, and also in several marketplaces in US. So in total, we have roughly 10,000 corporate clients, roughly 6,000 listed corporates, and we also have contact and as clients investors to roughly 5,000. We operate our exchanges, but we also actually developed technology for and power 130 different marketplaces around the world. So we are actually quite a big software developer. Yes. But when it comes to the role of the exchange, what can we do? Why are we, what kind of position do we have so we can support this development? And I would like to start to say that we have quite a unique position in the ecosystem, in the society's ecosystem and primarily the financial ecosystem, since we are in the intersection between the corporates and the investors. So there we can play a very important role. And the lead words we have in terms of building foundation for markets, foundation for getting capital flow from the investors to the corporates are primarily trust, integrity, and liquidity. And with that, I mean, integrity and trust is so important to build a well-functioning market. If you don't have the integrity and trust, then you don't get a market to flourish. Then you won't get the liquidity either. So that is something we focus very much on. In terms of the role then we play between the investors and the corporates, I would say it's 4 very important areas. It's obviously access to capital. And that is for some of the companies here today are very esteemed clients of ours in the listing venue of Nasdaq. So that is one way to support the access to capital from the marketplace. And that can be done either by like listing of the equity or also, which we have a quite large segment in terms of green or sustainable bonds. So both the equity side and the debt side. We support also the market with transparency. That is key for us to provide. We should not say that this company is good or this is green or whatever, but we should support the transparency so the investors and the different stakeholders can make an informed decision. We also support with different workflow tools. So that is very hands-on for primarily the listed corporates and the other corporates. We support with various tools for them to make the life easier as a listed corporate and also to ensure they can provide the transparency towards their stakeholders. And then we also can support in the role of decarbonization different types of markets. And that could be both in the equity side where we can develop and define different ESG indices, for instance, or have a market for sustainable bonds, or as I will come back to on the carbon side as well. So, looking into the different key sustainability initiatives we run at Nasdaq, we have, for instance, as I said, the sustainable debt market. That is actually, I think in 21 we had like 30% of all the listed bonds, corporate bonds in the Nordics was sustainable, green or social linked bonds, which is very high, and that's very inspiring. We have something we call Sustainable Bond Network. That is also a platform for all investors to be able to see the whole universe of sustainable bonds in an easy, structured way so they can actually make their informed decision. Otherwise, this market is extremely fragmented. It's a lot of different data sources, formats, etc. And that is what we try to help out with that. We also have quite a number of different ESG reporting and data solutions, and that goes both for the corporates in terms of what to report, how to report, workflow tools to submit the data to different stakeholders, and that is a challenge for corporates. Nasdaq, as a corporate ourselves, we try to be best in class. I hope I can say that we are best in class in terms of reporting ourselves. And I think we report to like 25, 30 different stakeholders in terms of different ESG data. So it is a challenge, and that's where we from Nasdaq can support. And the flip side of that, when corporates report to us, the flip side of that is obviously the investors. So we can support the investors with that data to aggregate that data in an efficient way. As I said, we have index, ESG indices and derivatives on that. We also have a concept here in the Nordics we call green equity designation. And there we can allow the companies to get a third-party verification around their business model, their operation, etc., to determine that whether it fulfills a certain number of criteria. And thereby they can have a label, a green equity designation label, and you can clarify that to different stakeholders. And then lastly, we have also since 2 years back, roughly, made a majority investment in a platform we call Pure Earth. And that is a carbon removal platform. And that is a way we see that we can support the listed corporates to manage the emissions that they can't abate and they can't reduce. So it's a platform for net negative emissions. So where a producer of net negative emissions, like biochar we had up for discussion here previously, there could be bioenergy, carbon capture and storage, etc. Those produce the net negative emissions, and we can wrap them into a certificate and provide this to corporates that want to neutralize their residual emissions. I can see a lot of similar tendency in where we are in the market with the carbon removal market as well, and the renewable energy, where you have the need for this financing, the need for the off-take agreement to make your project bankable, etc. But we are very optimistic on that side. That said, of course, the abatement, of course, the reduction by all the corporates, that they actually reduce their emissions, that is priority number one. The net negative emission will only be a complementary tool. Thank you.